Hi, I'm Chris, and we're at our farm at Paviland in Gower. We're actually going on quite a big journey of change on the farm. We've actually gone now from being a mainly inorganic cereal farm into a mixed rotation and going back to what we were growing 45 years ago. So we brought livestock back into the farm, we brought vegetables back into the farm, we brought fruit and pumpkins and potatoes and sunflowers and flowers to add into our cereal crop and our packing part of the farm. So it's quite a big change and quite a big journey. We brought some change to the farm in this variation of mix. We brought a herd of Welsh black cattle onto the farm, and with the NRW, we've actually doing some trials and using the cattle to help us restage the cliff and to help sustain the cliff and allow different species that have been suppressed to come to the fore again. So these cattle now are living on the cliff, and we've also got the use of no fence collars, so we can now control where they go to leave certain areas where we want their attention and certain areas where we can protect the public, and the public can enjoy easy access without interference from the cattle. The next big change for us is changing a traditionally inorganic farming operation of growing cereals. We're waiting for obviously the rules which the Welsh Government are going to be announcing shortly on the regenerative journey to organic. But then we will actually convert the whole of that into growing heritage grains and the high value grains with new techniques without the chemicals and the fertilizer we've traditionally used. The change in growing more of the heritage grains allows us to diversify into two things. One, to produce grains for flour, for milling, and the other side is allowing us to produce our haylage, our hay and our straw into bedding and feedstuffs. We've set up Gower Granary to do the pre-packing of hay, haylage and straw for bedding and feed for animals, for equine and for cattle. So this now gives us another, if you like, arrow in the quiver of what we're doing for varied farming. The other big variation is we're bringing vegetables back to the farm along with fruit. But now we're going back to products we were growing 40 odd years ago, but with a very big difference. This is grown without chemicals, without fertilizers, and we're basically changing our market, and we found our market in different ways. We now go direct to restaurants. We also have avoided all the wholesale markets, and we're going basically to end customer with a high value product. A lot of that has been supported by Tyfu Cymru, which has helped us develop and get some expertise to help to grow these crops without the chemicals and fertilizers we've traditionally used. Now this is where we're doing all our fruit and brassicas. This is, again, without chemicals and without fertilizers. And I'd like to introduce you to Rudy, who is our head grower, and he now can sort of tell you on his vision and where he's taking this.
What we do here is we try and be a complete setup. So we're growing our own seed, so we start all of our products, we start off from seed. So we have it throughout the entire journey, from seed all the way through to harvest and then delivery as well. So one of the benefits of doing our own propagation is we can control the quality of it, as I already said, but also we can control when we start and when it's ready. So one of the things that we're trying to do this year is, instead of planting crops once and continuously harvesting them, we're trying to extend the planting season. We can continue harvesting much later than average growers can. By doing sectional planting, we can also estimate which ones we want to plant more of because they are becoming popular, and which ones we want to grow less of because they're less popular. So what we're doing isn't really anything new, but our approach is slightly different. So we are focusing less on the plant itself, but more on the soil. So throughout the farm, we've got different soil types. So what we're doing is we're working with nature, we're working with our soil, and we're planning our planting according to the seasons and according to how moist or how dry the soil is. So one of the main reasons why we're focusing on soil is, I heard this old story about a fish tank, and the guy said that you never treat your fish, you always treat your water. So that's why we decided to step away a bit from the plant and fix the soil. So the soil is an ongoing process. So every year we put in nutrients that is not necessarily going to give us an immediate feedback, but over an eventual period of time, that nutrients and that structure changing material that we're putting into the soil is what's going to give us the end results.
This whole diversification has brought other benefits and changes to the farm. We actually now grow second crop in most of our cereal crops. After they've been harvested, we put in stubble turnips, and we bring in a lot of sheep that then basically bed and breakfast with us for quite a while. But of course the benefit is they're giving us a green cover all the time and feeding the ground. On top of that, we've added other crops back in, like pumpkins, which are quite a major crop for us now. We've gone back into early potatoes. We're doing sunflowers as flowers and sweet corn. Okay, we have quite an interesting cove behind us. We have 3 of these on the farm. And this cove is where we used to grow first early potatoes and cauliflowers. And I'm going back, obviously, when I was young, 45 years ago. It had all the sunshine, had the protection of both sides and no frost. So we always got the first earlies and our first cauliflowers off here. So it was quite a memory bringing the stuff back up from the bottom, because we had to reverse up the hill with the transport books full of produce and then 2 people hanging off the front to balance the tractor. This is quite a change for us to go back to growing potatoes. About 40 odd years ago, we used to grow about 100 odd acres of potatoes, all first earlies. Now we're going back to growing just 6 acres of potatoes, and again to specific market, local market, both for the restaurants and for the shops that we traditionally do. We're also adding into that bricks testing, so that we're actually doing it on taste as opposed to volume and obviously the smoothness and the prettiness of the crop. So this is a big change for us, and the harvesting is going to be quite an interesting change when we haven't done it for 40 odd years. This field is known as Square. This has got 3 crops in it. The first crops are pumpkins and also crown prince, and sweet corn and sunflowers for flower, bunching as flowers. This has got quite an interesting story, because Elsom's, ADAS and Tyfu Cymru helped us last year to put in sweet corn, and we got lots of different varieties. But we had a problem with aphids, and it sorted itself out naturally. We ended up with parasitic wasps. We don't know where they came from, but they came in here and started munching the aphids. So no chemicals, no fertilizers at all, but we had the beautiful thing of the parasitic wasps destroying all those aphids. A lovely clean crop, some of the cleanest crop Elsom's had seen. All these changes have actually necessitated quite a different approach to the market. We've had to find new ways of getting our product to market, and we've done this in different ways. One, to shops direct, where we supply a range of our vegetables and fruit and also our beef, but to exacting demands and run. One of our main runs has been actually salad packs, which have been lasting so long because they're so fresh, and that's given us quite a big access into the market. We also service local restaurants. We do quite a lot of Michelin-starred restaurants, and on top of that is finding new ways where we can deal with CK supermarkets, where we supply a range of our produce to them, of quality products to sell within their 30 odd stores. We're also developing and enhancing our box scheme, which will have a summer fit and a winter fit. And we are avoiding the hungry gap this year by growing products of our own without buying in substitutes. We'll be all our own produce going right through to market. This has also necessitated a change in vehicles, how we deliver these products. So we're using our own vans and refrigerated vans. And on the Gower granary side, we've obviously had to add in the bigger lorries and stuff to service our local markets and to keep them replenished. The whole of this change is actually bringing some quite big learning curve to us to actually cope with. With the change we're doing now, we're looking at other businesses joining us on the farm, using some of our ingredients. So the nice thing now, instead of us doing everything, it becomes a collaboration for lots of people to come in and live within the same ecoculture that we're growing. The other thing about the whole of this farm change is to create a sustainable farming system that is basically not reliant on grants and support, but can sustain for future generations. And that's what we're trying to endeavour to do, so it has both the sustainable from an environmental point of view and sustainability from an economic point of view.